pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Dave Dillon.
Here.
Council members Ken Mueller.
Here.
Norris Johnson.
Here.
Lindsee Larson. Here.
Approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve? So moved.
A second.
You need additions. I have a few that are already on the revised agenda. Resolution 2306, City Treasurer's signatures authorization. Parks, Gary Kirkaby's request. You have that information. And then new business is the Stauber Community Funding Projects fiscal year 2024. Anything else? Anybody else have anything to add? Can I get a motion to get those added?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Additions are approved. We already got a motion for the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda passes. On the consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes from January 18th, 2023, approval of bills, and resolution 2303, resolution accepting donations. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Open forum. If there's anyone here tonight to address anything that is not on the agenda, please state your name and address, please.
I'm Chris Carlson, Vice Chair of Board Hometown Board, 6089 165th Street, Milaca. And we had gotten word that the Stauber grant had gone through, and we just asked that, we be kept in the loop. And on these grant projects, it's always been that entities that are doing the project have to pay the engineering, and our annual meeting is coming up in a month, so we just want to stay in the loop if we have to raise our levy a little bit to cover anything for 24. So. And I see it's on the agenda for number 13, so I'll just sit down.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, I think we will address it at that time.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, we'll go to the public hearing, establishing a tax increment finance district number 2-10. Time of the public hearing opening, I have to have one I can read, 6:33. What do we need with that, Tammy?
Shannon,
You get
come on
it,
up.
that's right.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Shannon Sweeney from David Drown Associates. A couple months ago, the council authorized us to start the process to create a tax increment district for the purpose of potentially assisting a housing project in the city. We had a request from Rum River Living LLC, the developer represented by Sean Williams, who expressed an interest in constructing a new 8-unit multifamily housing unit in the community. He had made a request for tax increment assistance, which is a reimbursement of new property taxes that would be paid as a result of the new construction that occurs. We have several documents in your packet. The public hearing, which is on the draft tax increment financing plan that was drafted, which, as required by Minnesota statute, establishes some parameters with regard to the provision of that assistance. It establishes a budget for the amount of money that we could potentially collect within that district, which is $359,859 if it ran its full duration. It provides boundaries, which includes the parcel that the developer is intending to build on. It talks about the restrictions that are imposed as a result of using tax increment financing assistance for housing, which is that income restrictions are implemented for 20% of the units have to be made available to folks at 50% of area median income if they're receiving tax increment assistance. What that means is 2 out of the 8 units would have to be made available to folks at median area income, which for one person would be $29,200, 2 people $33,350, 3 people $37,500, and so on. So As a result of receiving a subsidy, a developer is required to make units available to folks at those income levels, 2 units in this instance out of the 8. Part of this process requires us to notify the county and school district of what we're up to, and they have been provided a draft of the tax increment plan more than 30 days in advance of the hearing. And we're made aware that we are holding a public hearing with regard to the creation of this TIF district. Following the public hearing, there would be action items for you to consider. They include the adoption of the tax increment plan, which is creating the tool or the mechanism for providing assistance to the developer. And then there's a draft contract for private development that is actually the implementation of that subsidy for the proposed project. I'll talk briefly about the subsidy agreement. You can certainly ask more questions when we get to that item on the agenda. But ultimately, the developer has requested 10 years of assistance, which equates to $128,000 in new property tax reimbursement over that 10-year period of time, based on the projected market value provided by the assessor and the current local tax rate. We had suggest, well, actually it reflects 90% of the available revenue, because we would intend to keep 10% as the city to cover administrative costs, because there's annual reporting requirements to the state of Minnesota. And you can use it to reimburse yourselves for costs associated with creating the tax increment district as well. Reimbursement is capped by amount and by term. The final reimbursement would potentially occur in the year 2034. If they build the project this year, the first tax won't be received until 2025. So that would be the first of the 10 years of assistance that would be provided under that agreement if you decide to enter into it. Developer must meet the income limits, as we mentioned before, and that's for the duration of the subsidy that they receive for that ultimately 10 years of occupancy. And again, we're retaining 10% of that revenue stream to cover administrative costs. So gone through kind of the significant details of the agreement and plan, but happy to answer questions, and this is an opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed TIF district. So
The one question I had was, the language is made available. Does that mean required?
yeah, ultimately it does. I mean, it's, they either have to be vacant or occupied by,
So I mean, if it's vacant, they can't rent it to a,
no.
okay,
No, it has to be available for folks with the income
okay.
restriction, so,
That's the 2.
yes,
The two.
the 2 units, yep. And, recognize that they're not required to set a specific rent, they just have to be made available to folks at those incomes,
Right.
so.
Okay.
Can the 2 units that are set aside for that, can they change?
Yes,
So it could be,
yep, it could be any 2 units in the, yep. And there's in the agreement, there's a certification form that developer has to provide to you annually to document that they're meeting that requirement. In case you're audited by the state, you'd want to have that available.
Okay.
I'd say the last point I'd make is essentially a risk-free subsidy from the perspective that the developer has to actually build the project, pay the property taxes. The city has to receive those from the county in the form of tax increment before a reimbursement is made. If there's any break in that string, the city's not reimbursing the developer any money. So if taxes aren't paid, if state law changes, and tax increments are no longer available, any of those things you're only pledging to reimburse what you're authorized to collect under statute.
Any other questions or comments anywhere? Great, thank you. Hearing nothing else, we'll close the public hearing at 6:40. And we'll move on to Resolution 2304, the resolution adopting the TIF plan. I can get to it. Can I get a motion for that, for resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion or questions on that? Everybody okay? Good explanation, thank you. Hearing none, all in favor of resolution 2304?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes, or resolution 2304 passes. Moving on, requesting communications. We don't have anything, do we, Tammy?
No.
Okay.
You need to execute the development agreement. That was
Yeah.
your,
Oh, sorry, I had part of the resolution, sorry, I see
Okay.
it underneath there. Yep.
yep.
We need a motion for that or separate or is that?
You need a separate motion, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve that. The development agreement.
Second that.
Anything on that? Hearing nothing, all in favor of the execution of the development agreement? Aye. Opposed? That passes. Now we're at request communications, and we have nothing, correct? So now we'll go to ordinance and resolution. Ordinance 510, annexing the land located in Milaca Township, the second reading of that. As soon as I can get to it. There we go. Can I get a motion for ordinance 510?
Move for approval.
Second.
Anything changed on that?
No.
Anybody have any questions on it? I think it was pretty straightforward last time. Okay, all in favor of ordinance 510?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, ordinance 510 passes. Resolution 2305, appointing a council member to fill vacancy.
We only had one application.
Right, do you want a motion in a second without the person first, or to go through the process?
You'll make your motion include the name.
Okay,
Okay,
and we can because we only have one person, correct? So we're
Correct.
not doing any voting or anything.
right.
Okay, so I need a motion for resolution 2305. The council would be appointing Lori Gain to fill the council vacancy.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So Lori is appointed. Resolution 2306, city treasurer signatories and authorization on bank accounts. This is for our new treasurer we have hired.
Move for approval.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Any other discussion on that?
You're gonna be so bored now.
Please.
What did you say now?
You're gonna be so bored.
Oh, right. Audit time.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Was this she start or did she start?
She started on the 13th. We're
13th,
good.
okay.
So she's already posting the liquor store dailies and the dip reg dailies. So we got a lot to train on yet,
Yeah.
so.
That's good. All in favor of resolution 2306?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, 2306 passes. Putting the wrong thing away here. Reports of departments and commissions, city manager.
And you'll update them
Is
on
that
on the MinDOT one,
Yep,
yes.
we had a meeting, was that Monday?
Yeah, the 6th.
Monday with MinDOT to talk about the Highway 23 project going through town from the bridge out to just past the bypass out there, County Road 2. They have their drawings that haven't really significantly changed from last time. They wanted input on concerns that we had. We did voice a few different concerns. They are pretty convinced that the roundabout at Central Avenue is safer than the lights. They have data, they have, I don't know, we questioned it.
Yeah.
But, and there's still discussion. But it would be a smaller, if I call them mini ones, so trailers can go right over them, so they don't have the problem of trying to navigate it quite as much. That was probably our biggest question we had. The other question was down at school. The one they laid out is by the dollar store and the school, that intersection, which is a very dangerous intersection, especially for kids. The problem is the median runs all the way back to the south access out of the parking lot of the school where all the kids leave. So it would require a right-hand turn somewhere down the road, take a left-hand turn to get back, which is just bad. Superintendent Whedon had MnDOT here Monday, and they stood on top of the school on the roof and then at 3 and watched, so they could see all the access points and watched all the buses and the kids and everything leave. So they got a much better idea. So they're going back to discuss with their people, and the school's talking with their people, and they're gonna meet again to look at possible solutions for that. So it's still a work in progress, but it was a good discussion, a lot of good ideas. There are a lot of really nice parts. You would have paved walking access from the school all the way out to the bypass area, safe paved walking, which we don't have now, so that would be a really good thing. The date is still 2026. Preliminary stuff will happen before that, like tree removal, surveying, things like that, but it sounded like spring of 2026 is when things would actually start happening. So, and we'll be updated pretty frequently now as things move forward as far as timelines, but that was a general overview that now that things are getting closer. So that's what we know from there. And we'll, like I say, getting more information as they meet. So, any questions? Not that we can answer a lot of it, it's kind of in MnDOT's hands, but
Would there be some land acquisition that would have to happen,
It didn't sound
I
like
don't think
it.
so. Most of it's within right away.
Yeah,
23 itself, I think will be it won't be quite as wide.
it'll be 34 feet.
Yeah.
And total with the walkways will be 62.
Yeah. It would eliminate parking on 23, which at this point is never done anyhow.
or? Right.
So it didn't seem like a problem there.
And this goes over to 2, the
Yes, out past, the Dairy Queen there. Yep.
might be old.
Well, good thing you're not now. Anything else, Tammy?
That's it.
Okay. Police report, Quinn?
Aside from the activity report, I just wanted to update. Last month I mentioned we were down an officer. Actually starting on the 1st, Mike Barrows, who was full-time, to part-time to pursue work in construction. He's decided to come back full-time now, so we'll be fully staffed at that.
Oh, great. That would save some training too, wouldn't it? Yeah.
A lot of silver linings on that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, parks.
I'll just come up here since I got a few things.
Yep.
in a row.
Oh yeah, you just keep right on rolling in the public works there.
Yeah. So, I guess there's a council report in your, or a supervisor's report in your packet, but, generally what's going on in the parks right now is just the hockey rink. It's been in pretty good shape for the weather. We got it flooded again today, so it's open right now, but the rain doesn't help. So I was asked to bring a couple items to the Park Commission for their thoughts on them. And the first one, I think you all have a handout, is there was gonna be a mini excavator purchased from the sewer department, capital improvement plan. I got a quote for that last year in November for the 2023 CIP, and I even estimated a little high on it, but, as of January 1st, the price went up on it $11,000. So the thought with bringing this to the Park Commission was the trail guys were pretty excited to get, to be able to make use of a mini excavator on the trails. They've rented and borrowed one a few times over the last couple of years to do some of the bigger projects out there. So one of the thoughts is, or the Park Commission is recommending taking $11,000 from the charitable gambling fund to be able to make the purchase of the mini excavator.
Got a motion just on that?
Or do you want me to roll them in together?
What?
The other Park Commission?
Yeah, we can just,
Put
one
'em
separate on
together?
this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Separate, did you say on this one?
on this one.
Okay. All right. So you would need a motion to approve the 11,000 to go towards the mini excavator.
Yep.
Okay.
So move.
I'll second.
And just for reference, that fits into our plan that we laid out for that money and where we wanted it to go. Plus, I don't know how our liability borrowing equipment anyhow is for something like that.
Yeah.
Probably way better to have your own.
Yeah, we do get the equipment for a really good price on state contract pricing, but it did go up, so
Yeah.
it's still cheaper than, if we rented one for a month, over time, that would add up really fast
Yeah.
over what we would be able to buy one for, so.
So the volunteers can use this, Gary, or just your guys?
As of right now, it'll be our guys, but we do have an agreement with the volunteers, in that they're able to use chainsaws and weed whips and mechanical equipment out there, so well as they're taking the liability, and we talked to the league about that and have a form for them to fill out.
So you definitely gotta have something there, cause running a piece of equipment like that, and all of a sudden, somebody gets hurt, so the city is definitely gonna
He
be
knows what he's
somewhat in
doing.
trouble there.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
got
we
it
have-
under control.
A form for,
Okay.
yeah.
Just so, don't let like me drive it or.
No,
So we got a motion and a second?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. What else was there?
the next one from the Park Commission was a recommendation to expand the skate park. It would, so the request is for $30,000 from the charitable gambling fund, to go with. There's $10,000 in the park's budget CIP for skate park improvements. And there's also been 2 grants. Now, I did submit 2 grants in the last week for this. This would, even with the grants don't go anywhere, I feel pretty good about one of them, but if the grants don't come to fruition, still with this money, in concrete, I think we'd be able to double the square footage of what's there. I talked with, or been communicating with Joe Bell and Steve Cooper, and like Third Layer was here last summer doing an event. And all these guys would like to do more events down there. They're pretty successful so far and seeing good turnout, so that's kind of where this is coming from. The design, I guess, idea in the packet there. It's my chicken scratch, but that is like from the kids in town drawing when they're at the skate park with Joe or at the Witch Doctor. So the design so far is from them, and as I put on here, if this is something the council wants to do, we'd make a group consisting of the local kids that use the park, some contractors, and then city staff, just to see what we can put down there with the money to make it go as far as we can.
One question I got, this is maybe not related directly to this, but
Sure.
the high school had, 8th grade had they sent letters out to council members, and I got one. And one of the students asked about a swing set in Rec Park.
Okay.
I don't know, I don't think there is it.
There isn't any swings in rec, no.
And they have one in Trumbull and one up in Reneke. You know, it's much something to
Yeah, we could.
think about these, you know. That wouldn't be huge if you had one similar. Just a thought.
Yeah.
And then I can say I asked about it.
So on that 30,000, that could be less actually if you got one of those grants.
It could be,
Okay. Okay, can I get a motion for the use of that
I'll
money?
make a motion for use.
Second that.
Any other questions for Gary? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes.
we,
Next on your list.
yeah, can I just go to my stuff and then we'll go back to the contractor's pay request?
Oh, you might as well go right down the list. You can go to pay count.
Okay, I don't know
Yeah.
much about that, but,
You don't have to do that. We can
Yeah,
just,
we can come back to D.
okay.
You can go E.
So seal coating, quotes were gotten, sent it out to 4 contractors, 2, came back with quotes, which is, pretty average. This year, it's kind of, you can see on the map there, sections all over. A lot of it's in the northwest, but then also going out in Boulder Ridge and, the junction, or no, not the junction, but, the section of Hidden Pines that didn't get paved. Allied was 172 a square yard, and Pearson was 177 a square yard. So there'll be crack sealing that'll go along with this, but so far, they both are in line with the budgeted amount for seal coating this year. Allied did it last time we had a seal coat project, but Pearson's done it before as well. I'd probably go with Allied just because of the cost savings. And when you're looking at that map, it might seem odd that we're skipping 3rd Avenue Northwest, but the reason being that Phil's looking at that pretty seriously for being part of 2024's street project, so not going to put the money into it with a seal coat. So I guess I'm looking for a motion.
Yeah, can I get a motion for the seal coating for Allied?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Allied passes. Alley paving next?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got 2 quotes for paving 4 blocks of alleys this year. One of the quotes falls within our budget, and that is Omen. They both, I put both on here, so they were sent the exact same information. Omen was cheaper. They did it last year. That's who I would recommend. And the reason that the alleys are picked is last year, all the alleys that were done had manholes in them. So the idea behind that is just easier access in the winter, because if they're not paved, they have to be underneath gravel. Otherwise, when you're grading them, they're getting, ripped out. So in the winter, when there's a backup and they have to be jetted, then you have to use a pickaxe to get at them for quite a while. So having that access to the manhole is nice. So that's the order in which we're paving, or choosing which ones are done first. After these 4 are done, then all alleys with manholes in them will be paved. So that'd be nice.
Makes sense. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the alley paving for Omen? So move.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Alley paving passes.
And that's everything I got.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Gary. Now if we jump back to the 2021 street improvement contractors pay request number 5, final, $101,829.99. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
okay.
Anything we need to know, Tammy, or is it straight?
This is all the finally wrapped up.
Okay.
Took Phil quite a while. The contractor didn't move too fast on getting the final into us.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? All in favor of the pay request number 5?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pay request 5 passes. Liquor store, do we have anything from Vicky tonight?
No.
Fire department quotes, Jesse.
So this year, we're gonna buy a new side-by-side. You guys approved it. I had 2 quotes, one from the Power Lodge, and on the AMF for $27,700, or $25,077.46. Then for the same machine at the Little Common Sport, it's $23,871.44. That's for the same accessories. I need approval for that.
Oh, the lower.
The lower price.
The lower one? Okay. And a motion to approve the 2023 Ranger from Duluth Lawn and Sport.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other questions for Jesse?
Funding is,
We got $50,000 almost, or almost $50,000
Okay.
in grants and
Do you still have some grant money that you're holding?
nope.
Okay.
So it's like 47,000, I think, but
We've counted 42.
I mean, I'll have to look again, but it
You got-
didn't
you got
matter.
plenty.
We're still approved
Yep,
for
you're good.
70,000 for our budget for 2023 on
Right.
CIP. So, and, oh, you gotta vote on that part.
Sure, we'll get a motion, or we got a motion.
We did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so then we get a price on 2 sets of tracks. So we got the Polaris brand tracks, the snowmobile club that donated us some money, told us that we don't wanna go with those, cause for what we use them for, it'll just destroy them, they'll be junk. So they recommended this Matt Tracks brand. So we got a quote from the factory, which is here in actually Minnesota. And then we got a price from one of their dealers, in the southern part of the state, or the northern part of the state, I don't know.
Argyle.
But the one price is $16,880, and the other price is, 15,651. And that is from the factory, which is, that'd be Matt Tracks directly.
So you're good with that one?
Yep.
Okay. Can I get a motion for the ATV from Tracks from Matt Tracks?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Take your pick. It's a tie. Any other questions?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Anything else, Jess?
Next month, we'll have our quotes for the skid unit and for the trailer. And then we'll be able to get everything, well, order the Ranger and the tracks, because they said about 12 to 14 weeks on both of them.
That's what I was wondering, how
I'll get
long?
the price on the skid units and the trailer and the lighting. So,
Good.
and hopefully we'll have it up, and ready to go by grass fair season. And then
Yeah.
after that, we'll need to sell, I don't know, if the parks or the trail association wants to buy the snowmobile from us so they can keep continuing to groom the trails, or what exactly, how that works, but.
Well, I
and
don't
then-
know that we'd buy it, but if we just change it from one department from another. so-
Right, but it's also a value of, that we'd have to go back into our CIP, right? Cause just like when the guy sell cop car.
What happens with the book asset? You just change it from one department to another, the value doesn't change because it ends up being depreciated out.
But doesn't,
But I
but
would
he's saying his
If I would
budget.
sell it, then I would have an income for that.
You
Right.
would if you sold it outright, but
Yeah,
not,
so-
the city doesn't sell its stuff to itself
Right, but then.
because
then-
we already own it.
Well, I understand that, Timmy, but.
Yeah.
For my perspective, I'm losing out on, say, $3,000
Right.
then, into my budget.
With
And
this
then-
piece of equipment, we're just gonna sell it, cause we use the side-by-side for grooming, the snowmobile hasn't been used, so.
Well, Sean used it twice this year, I don't know.
I'm surprised to hear that, he's been using the.
I don't know, yeah, he used snowmobile twice, he told me that.
I would recommend you send it, just sell it outright.
But I see your point.
Yeah.
Their budget should have to reimburse your
Right,
budget.
that's what I just, like,
Yeah.
you know, just like when.
But
when
then if they
took
don't
the-
need it and aren't gonna use it,
No, but if
They're
they
not
did
gonna
need
use
it,
yeah,
if
they'll
they
sell it.
did, it
did,
would make
but they
sense.
don't,
Yeah.
so.
So,
Okay.
and then we'll have to sell the Ranger that we have also, so that'll be
Okay.
in the future here.
That money goes back to the general budget. For sale.
It's for sale of assets. Mhm. So you'll be selling the sled and the Ranger
And the Ranger, yeah,
Okay.
and the trailers.
and trailers?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. You wanna, we'll do that on the sealed bid process? When do you wanna,
It'll be after, probably fall.
Oh,
And I wanna
okay.
Make sure we got
Okay.
everything like
all right,
installed back, or into service and everything.
okay.
Good. Anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Planning and zoning. No
No.
meeting. Airport, nothing at the airport. Committee's budget's not right now. EDC. What was our last EDC? Still looking at that childcare information. I know Superintendent Eden has got on the task force with that and doing some work with that.
We talked about all the housing projects.
And the housing projects, yep. And then we'll meet again in a few weeks here. No unfinished business, the Stauber Community Funding Project, fiscal year '24. Want to go over all that?
Yeah, we received an email from the Stauber project here for, to ask for new fiscal funding for the fiscal year 2024. And Phil put together a couple of projects, which would be the industrial 14 acres to get water and sewer to that particular area, and or include land acquisition for an easement. And the other project would be the downtown area to the street and utility revitalization. Is replace the old concrete on the street sidewalks in the downtown area between Second, southwest between First Street and Second Street. So that would include new water mains, new water service lines, Second Avenue into the downtown buildings. It would also replace old water mains in the alleys and replace them with the new main in Second Avenue. So that total estimated cost is $950,000. The estimated cost for the industrial park area is $1.2 million. So council would just need to decide.
Yeah, we were just looking for a little direction because they both are good projects. I know Phil, from an engineering standpoint, likes the whole downtown project, but we also need to look at that land that we're picking up for industrial. So I don't know if anyone has any preferences one way or the other as far as filling out that application.
I think the downtown would be in a more immediate need. I mean, that, some of the sidewalks and that are really looking bad. And where the access out there to that land is down the road somewhere. We don't know if it's next year or
Right.
10 years or.
And it does seem that there's a fair amount of infrastructure funding for something like that that comes up every year that we could maybe chase too. Anybody else have any feelings one way or the other?
I wish we had more parking downtown. That would help us.
I have to go around the block sometimes and
Mhm.
Yeah.
wait for somebody to back out.
So,
And the other thing to keep in mind is we're just applying.
Yeah.
The chances of us getting it aren't that great, so.
And access to that land, you know, if we had a buyer that came, we would
Exactly.
have revenue coming in from the sale of the land, and then that could then pay for the access,
Sure.
or at least a portion of it.
So we're leaning towards the downtown project as far as just putting it in that? Okay. You
Okay,
can do that?
yep. And then we can just kind of update on the other, the Stauber project
Yes,
for
we can answer his
2023.
questions. Yeah.
I just received an email this week in regards to, they're telling us that within the next couple of weeks, they're gonna be sending the grant documentation to us and all the documents that we need to fill out for them. And then I was talking with Dave, and our plan is to pull both the townships and us together and our engineers and Gary so that we can all look at the project, make sure that we have everything in place that we need. And then I'm sure the documents that they will want, it's gonna go through HUD, so I would imagine those documents are gonna want a lot of financial information as well. So the project is a $1.5 million project. The grant is for the $1.5 million. So we're hoping that it doesn't go over that. Anything else, you know, it would be laid out with Phil to make sure that the final plan and design is all there with the estimated cost. So when he gets closer to that, then we'll kind of meet and take a look at everything with the townships.
So townships will be involved in planning?
Everything,
Yeah.
yep, everything.
Okay. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, we've applied for grants several times in the past on this project, you know, to get
Right.
to the airport, and
Right,
we're very thankful that the city actually was able to chisel some money out of them, so.
Yeah, we were pretty excited too, so that was good for everybody.
yeah,
Okay, if we're okay with that, then
okay.
we'll move on to anything miscellaneous that we missed.
No,
Otherwise, council comments? Lindsay? Ken?
I just want to stay positive. I'd like to make, I think Gary and the employees have done a great job with all the extra snow that we got. And it was, some of it wasn't in good form either. Appreciate it.
Doris?
Glad that we have a city treasurer on board.
Yeah.
you and me
You,
both.
That's very good.
Yeah,
Yes, and I
I'm getting a
appreciate
little
that.
wore out.
Tammy making up the difference there for however many months it's been, so. Hopefully we'll ease off a little bit now and get her trained and ready to go.
We are fully engulfed in audit prep right now, too, so.
Good.
Keep pretty busy.
Anything else?
Nope.
I just had a couple things, because you reminded me of those letters from the 8th graders. I should mention what, kind of a recap of the ones I had. Gary, of course, an outdoor pool was mentioned about 4 different times. And I have tried to explain to them the whole, in my letter back, the cost and the limited amount of days it can be used and all that information. The field house came up a couple times. Fast food, and surprisingly, like 3 were Kentucky Fried Chicken and only 1 McDonald's. So apparently we have some KFC fans around. Trap shooting range, which I think would be really neat, but like Tammy and I talked about, obviously not in the city, but we do have space around. Rec park, some kids thought the softball field should be baseball fields, the softball field should be soccer fields, football fields, but I said we used to run football down there. But I think now they're running it on the other field, so a lot of that's already happening. But they had some really good ideas, and it was really nice to see. The skate park did come up too, expanding that. But it was nice to see. I'm glad Corey does that. It gets them involved and it gets us some good information, so it was really good. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
Otherwise, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.